What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got to go over a rumor, a leak of potential PlayStation exclusive games that are eventually going to make their way to PC. Now, funny enough, a lot of these, which we will find out as I'm going to read these, a lot of these I predicted. We talked about Days. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean anything until they actually happen, but we talked about Days Gone going to the PC. I actually talked about Horizon way back when Horizon did it, Death Stranding. Obviously, there's been an influx of PlayStation games that have, moved over. And in that Days Gone video, which is just, a week or two old on this channel, I talked about other games, other PlayStation games that I do think could one day make it, games that make sense, right? And again, I'm generally positive on this approach. I think that as long as you put these games out on PC years, at least one, after the game releases, you are really doing no harm. You're going to get the majority, 95, 96, 97% of the people that are going to buy the game. They're going to buy within the first year. Unless you're Spider-Man, unless you're, I guess, the really, really big games. Obviously, those games have a little bit more legs to them. But if you have a game that's out 2-3 years, you got the most out of it on PlayStation. You're not going to do anything else. Why not throw it on PC? And then you make the sequel exclusive to PlayStation again, and then you have those PC players that are probably mad, and you get them to move over. So I understand that was a bit of a tangent, but this comes from Twitter. I do want to thank, I'm going to say Sala, and hopefully I'm saying your name right, but thank you for sending me this. This is a person, he posted this on Reddit, and he says, slate of PlayStation exclusives that'll be coming to PC. According to Twitter user Crazy Leaks on a Train, Bloodborne, Uncharted Collection, Ghost of Tsushima, and God of War are all coming to PC. Things he has correctly leaked in the past: Kingdom Hearts PC Epic Game Store exclusive, Neo 2 PC port. He didn't leak the month correctly here, but the leak was true. Ninja Gaiden PC port, and it keeps going. I did see other places out there that did point out more of the wrong things he said, so he's not always right, but to me, he kind of sounds like somebody that gets things right but doesn't get the time period right, which is a lot like even Jeff. We talk a lot about Jeff Grubb on both these channels. I like him. He seems like a good guy, and he's a really respectable leaker. He gets a lot of things right. He gets the majority of things right, but a lot of times his dates are off. So, and that's okay. I mean, obviously, if you know what's going on and you're like a week or two, like you say it's going to happen a week or two early and then happens a week or two later, a big whoop. You know what I mean? So there are some sites that were kind of saying like, oh, this guy has gotten stuff wrong in the past. I believe he also talked about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, but he predicted the reveal date wrong. Again, he knew the game was real, he just said the wrong date. So, obviously these are things to take with a grain of salt. I'm not saying these games are releasing, but again, Bloodborne, Uncharted Collection, Ghost of Tsushima, and God of War. So, ironically, or like weirdly, I want to throw in two games that are not on here that I did say could have been potentials is Uncharted 4 and also The Last of Us Part 2. Those were two games that in that Days Gone video, I had said, like, those two to me make sense. And the reason being, I mean, they put Ghost of Tsushima on here. So Ghost of Tsushima is on this list, but not The Last of Us Part 2. So that's a little odd, but again, makes sense. Again, I don't see that happening for quite a while because Ghost of Tsushima is actually still selling pretty well. It has sold well, and maybe that's why they don't want to do The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 is still selling like top 5, 6, 7 games every single month since its release. So it's actually still, I mean, I know there was a lot of people that had the talk of like, obviously the sales were down like 80% or whatever after the first month. I mean, yeah, the game sold really good. And then, this is outside of the hate or the love for The Last of Us Part 2. I don't really understand the people that went after the sales of it because you had such a high number that first month. Of course, it's going to have an insane drop that you've never seen because when you have a game that sells so well, there is, I don't really know how else to explain it, you know what I mean? But the game is still sold well, so maybe they don't want to, stop those sales, which again, I understand, and that's kind of the point of waiting on these games. So Ghost of Tsushima, maybe you wait on. God of War, I mean, we're approaching April 6th, April 4th, somewhere in that range. It's its 3-year birthday. So it's been out a very long time. I imagine most people have already gotten it. So that would make a lot of sense to put it to PC. Uncharted Collection, again, that's weird that you don't have Uncharted 4, but the Uncharted Collection, you've gotten the most out of that. There's no, there's no way you're going to hurt yourself all that much by putting that on PC after all this time. And then Bloodborne, I mean, this is the one that's been rumored. Remember, the rumor was they were going to actually do like a remaster of it and have it be on PS5 and on PC. That's been the rumor for about like a year and a half. I do believe it. I still do think it's coming. I have no idea when, but I do believe that. So that's a really solid list of games. Again, there's nothing wrong with any of them. Ghost of Tsushima is the only one that stands out as being new. The other ones are absolutely not new. You know, I mean, Bloodborne is like 6 years old almost at this point, or like 5.5. You know, God of War is 3, all of this stuff. So these games have been out a very, very long time. Ghost of Tsushima obviously hasn't been, but I still think they wait at least 1 year. I mean, they did that with Death Stranding. They only waited 1 year to put that game on PC. And that's also kind of because I assume Death Stranding, well, they probably had the exclusivity deal with Sony, so maybe they didn't know. But that game also sold really good like the first week or two, and then absolutely died off after. It's actually kind of a tragedy of that game. But, you know, that's an example of a game, hey, look, after the first month, you probably got the most people that you're going to get that are going to play the game. So why not test it out, right? Horizon, they obviously waited around, 3 years, a little over 3 years to put that game on PC. So you see the trend. I hope by constantly saying this over and over, making more videos, that people are going to be okay. You do see still some people on Twitter and social media that get very, very upset when they do this. Again, I think there's a big difference between doing this and then doing what Microsoft does. If you're against that, where Microsoft puts the game day one on Xbox consoles and on PC. So you're not forced to get it on Xbox, which does hurt, I would say, the Xbox console, because there's really no reason to have it if you have a PC, right? And that's, I think, what people are mad about with Sony is like, hey, don't go down that route. And by Jim Ryan, based off what he said, it does sound like they are, going down it, but I personally think this is what he means. Give the game 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then we put it on PC. We're not doing day one on PC and on PlayStation, because that flat out doesn't help the console, right? So I would say, worry not. Everything's under control. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Does this sound like a good list? Is Ghost of Tsushima kind of odd to you? Is there any other games you'd maybe throw in there that you think make sense? Again, I think Last of Us Part 2 eventually. I think Uncharted 4 eventually make a lot of sense to be on here. But you guys let me know in the comments. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. I do a brand new video every single day on this channel. And so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.